All right, guys, welcome back. Happy Sunday. We are on episode 14 of the Raw Intuition Health Show, and we've got a really incredible guest today. We've got Chantel, and she is I'll let her explain a little bit, but I think her company is uh, Live Lean Health, I believe. I'm sorry, she'll have to correct me on that if that's wrong, but she is amazing. She has, healed herself on a plant-based diet, and she reversed type 2 diabetes, as well as disordered eating and some other issues she had going on. And so really excited to introduce you to her. This will be the first time she's been on the channel, and hopefully in the future we'll get her on for a more detailed interview. But today we're going to talk about our top ways to heal in 2024. All right. So with everything going on in the world, this new year coming up, I think it's important for people to put into perspective, the essentials to really get down to how to heal and do it successfully long term. And so Chantel is a perfect person to have on for that. So let's get her in here. What's up, Chantel?
Hi, Matt. I'm good. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much. All right, so it looks like we've already got a pretty lively chat. I can already see people love Chantel. Everybody's pumped to have you on the show. So, all right, I think it's going to be a good time. Tessa's
Yeah.
here. Yeah, Sherry's here. Annie's here. Carl.
Hi, guys.
So, yeah, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here. All right, so guys, as you know, we give away a free ebook at the end of the show during the Q&A session. And so today I'm going to be giving away my ebook, 5-Star Digestion, to somebody that asks a question in the live Q&A. And Chantel has been generous enough to offer a 15-minute meditation for you guys, and so for the winner. And so once you are selected, just email me at matt@myrawintuition.com, and I will get you my ebook, and then I'll get you connected with Chantel, and she'll get you set up for that meditation. So thank you for doing that, Chantel.
My pleasure.
All right. So yeah, we're talking about healing today. And so
Yeah.
you're very familiar with this. I know you've been doing this for a while, and you've had some, some pretty profound results from getting into this lifestyle. Before we get started on the topic discussion, do you just kind of want to introduce yourself a little bit and just kind of share a
Sure.
little bit about your journey?
Sure. So I am a certified holistic nutritionist, coach, Reiki master, yoga teacher, and I kind of encompass everything that is holistic because in my journey of healing, I actually learned that nothing is one-sided, is not one dimension, and you really have to approach your body, your mind, and your soul as a whole. And this really gave me the foundations for Live Lean Health, which is basically living lean, as in, of course, we want lean bodies that are natural when you eat a human diet,
Yeah.
and then but also minimalizing what we have in our life, because we are in a world that is so materialistic, and we're all about grabbing, but leaning out is really leaving out the things that you don't need and being really minimalistic about it. And then health obviously encompasses all the spectrum of your physical health, your spiritual health, and your emotional health and mental health, of course. And I think this was a big one for me because obviously I had eating disorders when I was in my teenage years. They started as a child, but I just didn't realize what they were because I was still eating, but I had an attachment to food that was more like I needed it to be my companion and my friend. And when I became a teenager, obviously hormones kick in and your body changes, and I started dieting. And then through that diet process, after a couple of years, I started just starving myself, and I became anorexic. And I came thankfully out of it very quickly. I never became I never went to a point where I had to go into a hospital. I had really good support system around me that helped me out. But although they took me out of the anorexia per se, I still had a very bad relationship with food. And so I had eating disorders that went from bulimia to binging to dieting all through my 20s up to 30. And with that, I also had body dysmorphia. And I would say I still have body dysmorphia because it's something that is really tough to just get over. But now I know how to manage what happens to me when my mind goes into places that it shouldn't go. But then also I realized at 30 that because of my disordered eating, I was getting high glucose levels, high cholesterol levels. And I thought I was on a good diet because when I studied nutrition, I learned about eating lean meat with veggies and so I was like, okay, I'm starving myself from all the good things and not even eating fruit, but I wasn't healthy. And it just took me to a place where I'm like, I need to learn more. And then I started studying coaching at IIN, and I just got exposed to so many holistic approaches that I had no idea of. So I changed my diet, and listening to Dr. Neil Barnard talking about diabetes in a way that I never heard before, I was like, what if it's true that it's the fat the problem and not the carbs? And I actually love carbs, so I'm like, I'm totally trying this. So it worked. It worked the first time. I didn't have diabetes or pre-diabetes, but I had inconsistent glucose levels, and it really helped me out. And then I was really healthy for a few years in my 30s, and then I had a very traumatic move from London to Portugal. Lots of stress, emotional stuff started coming up. Dark night of the soul. I threw myself in early perimenopause, which I thankfully balanced it out again. But I gave myself type 2 diabetes, and I was so unhealthy. I had also adrenal fatigue, which obviously contributed to the glucose mismanagement in my body. And then I just started feeling horrible. And this is where the whole, I had to work on my spirit really seriously, on my past trauma from childhood, my ancestral trauma. I never realized how much ancestry there was in that line, in my line, especially with the women in my family. And then I decided to actually approach the vegan diet that I was having, because I actually gave myself type 2 diabetes on a vegan diet, but it was very processed, which is, now I really make sure that people understand vegan diets are not necessarily healthy if you don't do them right. It can be as bad as a Western diet. And I started really, just going more raw. So I actually did 100% raw for a few months. Also preparing for surgery, I had to do some dental work, and then and I was thriving on it, and I reversed it within a year.
Wow.
And then I just fell in love with this. I was eating fruit, and my blood glucose, yeah, sure, I have the higher spikes, but they go down, they're normal, like the rolling range is normal. And I was so fascinated by the fact that I could eat something I loved that I always deprived myself from. And of course, I love salads, and so eating raw is not a big issue at all. But I do also allow myself to have some, sweet potatoes and quinoa. So I started learning so much more about my body, and as a result, being a woman going through these changes, I'm now in my 40s, about these hormonal changes we all go through and how to really support women. And on the other side, also, like, the spiritual work that has to be done. There is something powerful happening with the women in the world, that if you awake, you can find that power that is so amazing. And so I work a lot with women to find that empowerment, because unfortunately the world has been really mismanaged by a lot of machismo and a very toxic masculinity, which then created toxic femininity. So finding that true balance, and this applies to men as well, by the way, but I work mostly with women because of what we have been exposed to. So there's a lot of ancestral healing to come. So this is a summary of what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I commend you for the work that you've done on yourself, and been able to transfer that and share that with others. That's really inspiring, and it's clearly working very well for you. You look great. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So with that, maybe we should move into kind of, our three, we've each got three kind of bullet points that we can bring to, share with the audience on how to really go into the new year. I mean, start today. You don't have to wait till 2024, but, just ideas for people to help them start moving in the direction of, really starting to get the healing that they're looking for. Do you wanna start off with your first suggestion?
Sure, and you kind of touched into it already. Don't wait, start today. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I really, because especially we are at that time of the year where the holidays are happening, and I actually did a little video about this, where people are like, I can just, it's holiday season, so I can just give myself this range of freedom where I can have anything and everything. And then you get to January and you're like, oh my gosh, I gained like, 10 kilos. I need to lose it. I'm going to make this New Year resolution, which never ever lasts because there's so much pressure that goes with it. And also like you go into restriction mode. So my advice is that start today thinking about the holidays, not as a season, but as times in the season. So you have days where sure, you're going to have more food and you're going to be with your family. And hopefully, if you are listening to this, of course, you're already on that path. But having more living food and vegan, vegan kind food, whole food, and actually have food that really feeds your body, because you can still have an amazing time with your friends and family, having amazing food that is healthy for you. But also if you overindulge a little bit, you have a little bit extra fat here and there, that's okay. But it's like that 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of festivities, and then you go back to having your good habits. So creating really good habits that keep you on track, which means looking after yourself from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that it's true. I mean, people get so they say the season, right? But it's only a few days. And so I think they
Yeah.
just kind of they just kind of spread that out for several weeks when in reality, there's only a few days they have to deal with the kind of outside of their normal routine. And yeah, building great habits is, I think, a great suggestion, because our habits really, that's what creates who we are, right? What we do on
Yeah.
a regular basis is who we become. So I love that. And let's see. My first one is to learn how to live in a parasympathetic state, right? Or mostly in a parasympathetic state. With the way that the world is, everybody's stressed out. There's so much going on, and people are stressed and depressed and just kind of hopeless a lot of times, I think. And so learning how to calm the body and mind is, one of the first steps that I would start looking at. Because if we're always stressed, if we're kind of in that fight or flight mode, it's going to be difficult to one, as Chantel was saying, getting in those good whole foods, those plant foods. If we're stressed and we're just like always on high alert, when you eat that food, even if it's really wholesome, delicious, nutritious food, you're not going to digest it and assimilate it as well, and so, or eliminate it as well. So I think really getting into a stable, calm mental and emotional and physical state, as much as possible is going to really help with, if you're trying to heal something, if you're just trying to get healthier overall. I think that's somewhere I would start, and, just reducing stress, so you can do things like meditation and breath work, finding joy and purpose in your life. That could be one on its own, finding joy and purpose. This channel, I know Shantel has found joy and purpose in sharing this message, and just finding something where you can find fulfillment in what you're doing. Moving your body often is, I think, a very important part of reducing your stress levels, because a sedentary lifestyle is stressful on the body, right? We're meant to move. And then also stress, or sleep and meditation, or sorry, sleep and hydration are two other things that can help to reduce your overall stress levels. So that would be my first one. It's several things, but all lumped together. Getting into that parasympathetic state, I think, is really important.
I love that, and it segues perfectly in my next one, because again, this really proves that everything is holistic and it goes together. You can't really dissect and divide. You
Yeah.
have to approach it as multifaceted. But what you said, it segues in the fact that we have to also know our why, be committed to it, so that we don't perish to peer pressure. Because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of times this is where it all goes wrong. Like, you're around people that don't support you, they're not part of your journey, and they will peer pressure you in making the wrong choices, and it doesn't serve you. So you knowing your why is so important. I can give you an example from today. I was invited to this lunch. It was more like a buffet lunch, like 50 people.
Hmm.
And I didn't know anyone, but, aside from a couple. And I went there and I realized that actually not that I couldn't. I didn't want to eat anything. They had a salad that was really miserable looking. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like if you see my salad, no. And then and then everything was like super processed, and I just couldn't bring myself to have it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's fine. I'm just gonna have water. And I had a very big smoothie bowl this morning, and I'm okay to wait until a little bit later. And sure, I will eat later than usual because I normally eat before 7, but it's okay. I can deal with that. And then the fruit, they had so many desserts that came out at the end, but they had a platter of fruit.
Hmm.
So I went to the fruit and I just served myself a nice big dish of fruit. And I was like, this was worth waiting for. I had some food and it was fruit. And I know that it's like the purest form of food that you can have. And that is discipline, right? And it's a word that a lot of people don't like. But if you know your why, discipline happens naturally because I'm like, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to feel like crap. I want to wake up tomorrow morning having a lot of energy because I know if I'm going to eat food that is going to deplete me of energy, I'll be so sluggish and then I didn't get anything done. And I have such a busy life. I don't want to feel like I need to go and take a nap every 5 minutes. So my why is really important and your why is really important. So if you have your why, peer pressure doesn't get you. I still talk to everybody. I had a great time meeting new people. And I was like, see ya. I had my fruit. So it was great.
Nice. Yes, that's such a great point. And yeah, I mean, that is another thing that I always stress to people is yeah, you're finding your why and just being true to who you are, right? It's like be
Mm-hmm.
proud of wanting to be healthy. I think that inspires
Yeah.
other people. Even if initially they kind of give some pushback or they kind of,
Oh yeah,
get
I got looks like, is she
yeah,
weird or something?
right, right. But then as you're eating and they see, how healthy you are and just like how much you're enjoying it, then, I think it sends a good message to other people and that's how we start making more change. So,
Yeah.
yes. All right, let's see here. So, yeah, my next one is definitely something that I always talk about, and that is chemical exposure. I think that learning about endocrine disrupting chemicals in our environment, in our home, and in our food, and all these things is really important. And learning how to limit your exposure is going to be key in helping you achieve whatever healing or health, goals that you have. Whether you're drinking out of plastic, it's going to have phthalates in them. Phthalates are used to give plastic flexibility and sturdiness. And so phthalates are endocrine disrupting, they're estrogenic. And, when you take that stuff in, you're going to be messing up your hormone system, which is in charge of basically everything that goes on in the body. So really protecting the hormone system is key to any health related goal that we have. And they're also going to be in fragrances as well. So any of your air fresheners, any of your detergents that have fragrances, colognes, perfumes, deodorants, all these different things have phthalates. A lot of them have parabens, other anti-androgenic chemicals that reduce, testosterone and create more estrogen. And that's important for both men and women to not have too much estrogen. So any ingredient so look at the back of whatever products you use. If you see any ingredients in there that start with benz or phenol, or if they have that in there anywhere, really good chance those are going to be estrogenic chemicals, and those are they're just all over the place. It's in like almost everything. They're going to be like preservatives. Surfactants are also another. These detergents have these chemicals as preservatives. Pesticides have these chemicals. So I promote eating as organic as you possibly can, because a lot of the pesticides are estrogenic. Also, they distort the gut microbiome and the gut, which is an endocrine organ as well. So anything that's going to harm the gut is also going to mess with your endocrine system. And so really getting key on that. And that you can look at fluoride in the water or chlorine in the water. Those are going to disrupt the gut. And so those are also estrogenic promoting chemicals. And then even clothing, synthetic clothing is another thing that, to be aware of, because the things that we're exposed to the most often, and I think most people are wearing clothing most of their life. And so the closer you can get to having natural fibers like cotton and hemp, or things like that, that are ideally organic if you can, but I know that's not practical for everybody. So if you're subscribed to my newsletter, I'm now an affiliate for a company that does organic cotton clothing. And so they're called Pact, Pact. And if you're not on my newsletter, I can send you, just email me, or you can just Google them. But yeah, PACT. It's a great company. Best organic clothing I've found, and I usually don't get organic clothing because it's just not, like, it doesn't fit very well. But this stuff is great. So yeah, and synthetic clothing, the problem with that is a lot of it is made from petrochemicals, and it's got BPA a lot of times, and polyester. These are estrogenic, hormone disrupting chemical or fabrics, and PFAS, fluorine based chemicals. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that we're all exposed to, especially today, that affect our hormones. And again, if we're trying to heal something, if we're trying to get healthy, then understanding where these chemicals are at in our environment, and taking steps, practical steps. You don't have to go crazy, but just taking practical steps to start limiting your exposure to these things, I think, is going to be a huge step forward in your health journey.
Absolutely. And I can add on to other choices of healthy clothing.
Yeah.
Bamboo is becoming really big,
Yep.
and it's sustainable as well as being healthier than a lot of the plastic and synthetic. So, and then the thing is that even when you wash the synthetic stuff, it goes into the water. So it actually impacts the planet, and it's back to us because it goes into the whole system,
Yes.
that, water that we use to shower and drink. So I know it's a very complex and very broad topic, but definitely
Yeah.
something to pay attention to. Whenever we can make better choices, let's just pay attention to that and do it. And I know it's more expensive, so it requires a lot of mindfulness.
Yeah.
But then I also realized that we don't need so many things. Like, I always wear the same clothes, really.
Yeah,
So
me
I'm
too.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good to be more mindful about that too. We didn't prepare the questions together, but I feel like
Right.
actually we can complement each other. So my next one is also complemented to yours, because I was going to talk about detox, but you did. Community, finding like-minded people to support you is so important to
Yeah.
heal. Because then it really goes together with what I just said before about the peer pressure and knowing your why, but also having a support system, people that get you. Because yeah, it's really tough sometimes, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey, to feel like you're the outsider. And although later it won't phase you, I promise you, you'll be like, whatever. But at the beginning it can. And so having a support system that understands you is key. So don't be afraid of asking for help, and also connecting with people that are on the same journey, or maybe more advanced in the journey. Like Matt is brilliant with that, can help you really finding the resources you need, especially if your work is amazing, so people can reach out to you to get your books. And that's so important, like really just understanding. And like, I'm happy to help with everything that I've done and I have. And it's really about sharing whatever worked, because why reinventing the wheel? So creating that community is so important. And just also for accountability, because sometimes we want to do things, but nobody's there to push us and cheer us on, and we can just fall off the wagon very easily. But when you have a support system, you're like, someone can say, you're doing great, and it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, get back on the train and you'll do great tomorrow, and going forward and forward and forward. So it's so much easier to stay on track when you have that kind of support system. So definitely in a lifestyle setting, that's really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah, accountability and a support system, I couldn't agree more. It's like, for me, I think about, just as an example of how powerful it can be. Not that this is like a hugely inspiring, example, but like, if you ever been this, so this is what I do. Like if I'm running by myself or even playing sports or like in high school during soccer practice, we'd be running, we'd be running around the fields, and like when there was an audience, like if we ran by the girls soccer team, it'd be like more motivation to like run, stand up straight and run faster, so, or like when I'm running with somebody else, they kind of push you
Yeah,
to push yourself. And so it's just, having that connection with other people, I think is so powerful in helping you, not only want to help yourself, but also to help them as well. And I think, you feed off each other. And so yeah, having a good support system, I agree, is so important.
totally. And
Yeah.
if I can touch on what you were saying about detoxing,
Yeah.
like aside from the hormone that like disruptor, our livers get so clogged up, right? So
Yeah.
actually, even working with people that have done detoxes and do a liver detox, a kidney detox, and lymphatic detox is so important at least twice a year, because even if we are having the best diet and we make good choices, we're still exposed to things in the air, in the water, in the food that sometimes we can't control,
Yeah.
even when they're organic, by the way, because in the transportation, you just don't know what they put them next to, and it's just
Yeah.
impossible to be perfect. So actually doing detoxes on purpose is really, really recommended. And I know allopathic medicine looks at detoxes as BS, and our body does detox naturally, but we do need a little bit of help, like the right herbs, the right, fasting, the right fruits, going on a fruit diet so that you can quickly detox your body by having this high amount of water. So being purposeful about detoxing is really important as well.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I hear people say that the body detoxes on its own, and that's, of course, that's true. Obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, a little assistance in the extremely toxic world that we live in, I think, is never a bad idea. And that really feeds into my next one, my last point, which I already kind of talked about a little bit, but supporting your gut health, I think, is so important because,
Mhm.
again, the gut, it's our technically it's our largest endocrine organ. Um, and I guess that could be disputed. Some people say that adipose tissue is now our largest endocrine organ. But yeah, the gut is very important in keeping, everything working throughout the body, and, optimizing your raw food, intake, as Chantel was saying, is going to really, support the gut. And if you guys have read 5 Star Digestion, I've got my Flora Power protocol in there. So whoever wins the book, you can check that out. The Flora Power protocol, 10 different things that you can use to optimize not only your gut bacteria, the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut, but also, empowering them with the right environment to do the work that they are meant to do in the best and most efficient way possible. I just think it's so important that we take our gut health seriously. And again, that goes back to trying to be as organic as possible. You don't have to be perfect, but, do your best. The chemicals that we put on our skin and absorb into the body, the chemicals in our water, and in our food, of course. So yeah, just doing your best. And even things like, if you can get organic bedding, I think, again, going back to the chemicals, um,
Mm.
even just having organic sheets and a comforter or something is big, because again, sleeping, that's our most effective detoxing time of the day. And so if you're if you're absorbing some of these polyester chemicals or detergent chemicals that you washed the sheets in, I think that is not the most ideal thing we can be doing. So just making sure you're setting yourself up to have the best environment for your gut to function as efficiently as possible is going to be key for you. And eating as many colors again as possible, because polyphenols, we hear about fiber being a prebiotic. Polyphenols are also a prebiotic, and they help the good gut bacteria, produce more butyrate and produce more other, short chain fatty acids that impact every different system in the body. So, yeah, just and as Chantel said, intermittent fasting. Um, eating the right foods is very important for proper gut health, but also periods of not eating are also very important for gut health. Some bacteria thrive in a fasted state. So
Hmm.
if you can have a period of not eating every single day, that's going to benefit your gut just as much as eating the right foods. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are some of the things I would say.
Beautiful. Can I add on to what you were saying as well?
Yeah, please.
Um, so most people are actually in a state of dysbiosis, especially if they're new to lifestyle and they were eating a Western diet, but also if they were exposed to taking a lot of antibiotics. So I think
Hmm.
in those cases, working with a professional is actually very important as well to balance out the gut, because of course, if they start eating raw food straight out of the bat, they might have a very bad reaction to it and then, blame the food when it's not the food the problem. The problem is that the gut health is not in the right place. And so if you don't have your microbiome in the right place, if your bacteria is not working properly, or you don't have a good variety, you can have digestive issues. So don't be harsh with yourself if that happens. Just work with a professional that can help you balance out your gut bacteria, and then I promise you, you'll thrive on everything that we've been sharing now, because then you will be able to digest more raw food. You will be able to actually consume diversity without having digestive issues, especially for people that are not fully raw and that consume, things like beans and pulses. That
Hmm.
can cause a lot of gas and issues for people that have a very bad digestive system, but we can deal with that. We can make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I told this story last week, where for one of our like 4 or 5 years ago at I think it was either Christmas or Thanksgiving, my mom made a lentil loaf, and it was all whole food, it was all homemade and very clean, and so I had some, and it did not digest at all, like because I hadn't had lentils, for probably years before that, so. Um, even if your gut is in a good or a pretty good condition, just eating foods like lentils or beans that are a little more difficult to digest, especially if you don't have the right probiotics in there, yeah, it can be not a pleasant experience. So going into those new heavier foods a little slower if you're going to add those in, I think is important too.
Yeah, very good call.
Did I jump in front of you? Have you done your third one yet? I don't. I think
I've
I.
done the third one.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did.
I did. I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Perfect. Well, yeah. I mean, that was kind of the list that I had. Do you have anything additional that you wanna to add in there before we head to the Q&A?
I think, being a positive mind, and I think you mentioned this when you were talking about being in a parasympathetic state anyway. So
Yeah.
grateful for the choices you're making. I really think I love that how we complemented each other with the tips, like very physical and biochemical, and then also lifestyle. And this is what people would benefit from by looking at it holistically. So I think we really covered quite a lot, and maybe the questions will actually bring us into more topics.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. It's like, people want the one thing to do, right? But it's like
Mm.
there's so much. It's such a holistic approach that you need to take to really induce healing and just create the highest level of health. So yeah, I agree. I think it's great that our tips all complemented each other, and that's kind of the fun part about not preparing before the show with
Yeah.
the guests. It's like you never really know what people are going to come up with. So yeah, that worked out perfectly.
Actually, maybe we can add patience, because
Ooh, yeah.
you what you just said about there is no one thing. This we live in a mentality, in a world where the mentality is silver bullet, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist.
Right.
And in the allopathic world, giving a pill to suppress symptoms seems to be that bullet, and unfortunately, it doesn't heal the body. We're talking about healing, so patience. Remember that we get sick throughout time, right? It takes a while to get sick, so it's going to take a while to get better. So allow your healing to have that time. Don't rush, don't give yourself pressure. You be patient.
Yeah, such a great point. And that reminds me, just my kind of the the approach that I try and tell people is the three P's, right? The three P's are patience is one of them, you know, because yeah, obviously nothing's gonna just happen overnight. Anything that takes, you know, anything that's really like meaningful and you know, just transformative, I think takes time, right? It's usually not going to be overnight. And then persistence. So yeah, you know, when things don't go perfectly, you know, and you think you have a bad day or whatever, don't just give up. Don't just go back to what you were doing. Think that you failed. You know, stay persistent. You know, stick with it, and you'll be glad that you did. And then let's see, patience, persistence, and practicality is the third one. Be practical. You know, do what's going to work for your life. You know, situation, because not everybody has the same situations. I think you talked about that earlier. You know, we all have different access to different foods. You know, some people have better fruit access. Some people have, you know, some people are in a food desert, right? So you just have to do the best that you can with your situation, and just do, yeah, you know, be practical. Don't think that you're failing if you're not doing something that somebody else online is doing, because we're all in our own little, you know, path, and we're all going to get where we need to go as long as, again, we stay persistent and patient, and yeah, just take it day by day.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Well, oh, and before we go into the Q&A, can you just share where, if somebody wants to connect with you or work with you, you know, your coaching or anything else, can you just share where people can find you?
Sure. So on Instagram, I'm very active, and that's at Live Health, but also my website, liveleanhealth.com. And I also have an extra page on Instagram, which actually it's just for safety, because once they took me down from Live Lean Health, but it's Heal with Chantal, but I have the same exact things on both. So I have this backup. And on the website, I have a form where you can actually schedule a little discovery call for 15 minutes with me and talk to me and about if my approach, if what I do would work for you, if I can help you. Otherwise, I am very happy to help you find someone that will work better. It's all about finding the right support system. Going back to the support system, you know, I think everybody will work well and better with someone they connect with and they really feel inspired with, rather than just working with anybody. I worked with practitioners. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this person is just so boring or negative or like extreme, that I was just like feeling overwhelmed. So you really need to work on, you know, connecting. So my website is great for that, but also Instagram, I always answer.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Everybody, you know, you connect with certain people, and that's really what gets you motivated. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, yeah, let's head over to the Q&A. We're gonna head over to the Blackboard here. Here we go. Okay, here we are. So yeah, everybody, we're at the Blackboard here. Let us know what questions you have. If you could put a question mark, put like 3 question marks before your question. It's just easier to pick them out of the chat. I see Tessa liked my running by the girls soccer team comment, so thank you, Tessa. And yeah, Tessa's favorite topic is chemicals as well. That's just something that I've always been passionate about. You know, I think maybe like growing up, I grew up on I lived on a golf course. I didn't live on the golf course, but I was just golfing all the time. I have my whole family is a golfing family, so yeah, we golfed a lot, and so I think I was exposed to a lot of chemicals there, and so I don't know if that's what got me interested in it or not, but I just think about like my childhood. I'm like, geez, I'm thinking of all like the exposures I had. But yeah, so yeah, Tessa, I'm glad that you are also passionate about the chemical topic. And we've got Amelia Fortes. Really, yeah, she's excited about our discussion here. She liked your bringing up the dark night of the soul, so real. Yeah, I think that's something that people should be more aware of, because you know, I don't hear a whole ton about that, and I don't think people really understand that quite as much as maybe they should. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, like your experience with it, or
Sure. So I actually have a little blog post about it, but I also will we'll do a video this week about it. I think it's come up a lot this weekend, so I feel it's like a cue to do that.
Mm.
But yeah, the dark side of the soul is really that part of you that is deep inside your subconscious that you probably don't pay attention to for like a very long time, for most of your life. Some people don't ever even face the dark night of the soul, but it's that dark shadow side where all the trauma will surface at some point, and you can't help but look in the mirror and see that part of yourself and be like, okay, two options here. You really deal with it and you heal and you go through the trauma, and it's going to be painful and you're going to have to come out of the other side, or you let that dark soul make you feel like you are powerless, and then you can also live your life in this autopilot, super unhappy, not making decisions, and you will be miserable. Because once you I feel that once you see that dark night of the soul and you know that there is more, and you know that you can do something about it if you don't actually do it inside of you at some level, because you can push it down, you can push anything back into subconscious that will come out in different ways, but it can make you sick. It can actually, I think part of like cancer, it's part of it is that spiritual side, that emotional side that hasn't been dealt with, is that dark night of the soul. And it's all the traumas that has accumulated. It's from your lifetime to your ancestry. So really facing that part. It generally happens towards the end of the 30s into the 40s and onwards. Maybe because of hormonal changes, maybe because we mature and become wiser, maybe because some of us really are remembering who we are. So there is a part of, some awaken. I don't mean it in a woke way. I can awaken, and as in we start seeing that we are more than just bodies. We are spirits having this, physical experience, and there are stuff that you remember. There's stuff that you remember, and you have to deal with, and yeah, you have to choose if to do the work or not. And it's really hard, painful work. So painful that it can change your life, where you will have to make decisions where you transform everything, and you have to say goodbye perhaps to people, situations that you had before that maybe you were comfortable with. So it will take you out of your comfort zone big time. But my experience is that as you go through it, the outcome will always be beautiful. And I don't think that I don't think I've finished with my dark night of the soul. I think most stuff will come up and is coming up, and I'm dealing with it. And I know it will change a lot of things in my life, but I'm ready. I'm ready because I'd rather be happy and really fulfilling my purpose, as most people want to be, than living the subdued life where I'm just on autopilot and not being fulfilled and happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful. And I think, yeah, it's so important to embrace that, right? Embrace the uncomfortableness of facing some of these traumas and experiences that we've had. I think it's like anything. If you wanna grow and evolve, you have to face some of those uncomfortable situations. And yeah, I think that's a great thing for people to consider. Maybe do you think people can go through the dark night of the soul without realizing it, or is it, do you think people would know?
That is a very good question. I think sometimes people call it maybe like a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And then you have two options, right? You have the anecdotal, the man facing that crisis and buying a BMW.
Yeah.
Right. So and in that case, they're not really dealing with the dark night of the soul. Like, they know they're going through a crisis, and so they start really acting out and doing things that are out of character or like extreme.
Yes.
So maybe they're not aware of that, and they just think maybe I'm gonna fulfill my life with these things that will make me happier. In the end, it never works. So yes, it can be that they're going through it without knowing, and then they make that choice not to deal with it because they don't know what it is.
Right.
They're not conscious enough about it, and they go just back to being, either they have a life that is just crazy and not finding their purpose and just filling it with material stuff, which is actually happening. A lot of people have that.
Yeah.
Or the people that are really sensitive and connected, and I guess it's like those star seeds, those lights of the world, they will want to work on it. So it's not for everybody, and not everybody's going to be the same. If the whole world really worked through the trauma and through the stuff that we have to work on, no wars, right? We wouldn't have them. We wouldn't have racism. We wouldn't have the history that we have in the world. We would really be a peaceful planet. But
right. Yeah. That's fun to think about. It'd be nice if everybody would
Yeah.
just embrace that. Um,
Yeah.
Tessa says, "What helped Chantel the most with her body image struggles?"
So it's the awareness that I will always look at myself, and sometimes I can fall for that dysmorphia, to look at myself and think, oh my God, I'm fat when I'm, even if I'm not, or oh my God, my legs are horrible. Like that bad negative voice in my head that has been implemented there since my childhood. I am so aware of it that now I actually choose to love myself and be like, I'm gonna give myself grace and be kind and be like, actually, this is my body, and I can only bring it. I can only do what is best for my body, and I will look the way that I look, and I will appreciate and be grateful, and I will also be grateful for the health that I have, because that's something you can't buy. Health is wealth, and really just reminding myself of that. There are days, if I'm hormonal or I'm starting my cycle, it can get to me. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bloated and I feel so ugly and I feel uncomfortable in my clothes. And then I step back and I meditate and I remind myself that it's just a moment in time and I'll be fine. It's all in my head and I need to just bring myself back and ground myself. So it's a continuous practice, really, not to fall for that little voice. Like it's like a gremlin sometimes in my head.
Yeah,
So I have to deal with it. It's a constant practice. That's what works for me.
I love it. Yeah, I can tell people are resonating with that, and so many people have, including myself. I think everybody has that to a degree, and yeah, just like you said, just like being present, realizing it's a transient thought, and that I think it's important for people to realize you're not your thoughts, right? Like just because you think something doesn't mean that it's real. I think realizing that is important. That you can absorb a thought, and then it's gonna leave, right? And so it's tough for a lot of people to get through that, especially because their mind isn't working as clearly as it could be. If they were eating a healthy diet. And would you say that raw foods and a plant-based lifestyle, has that changed? Was that a big factor in like your perception change?
Totally. And I think it's got to do with the gut brain connection big time.
Mm-hmm.
That access is so important. If you're putting the purest food in your body, you will be clearer in your thoughts, because
Yeah.
it's really, you're taking out the junk. You're allowing these pathways to build. You're allowing serotonin to be created in your gut. And as a result, and this is all physiological, and as a result, your mind will be happier. So when you have a clearer, happier mind, your thoughts can be much more mindful, much happier, much clearer. You don't go into these dark places where you can't get yourself out of. You go into these dark places and recognize that it's a dark place, and then be like, okay, I'm gonna come out of this because I've been out of this. I know I can, and it's not a spiraling darkness. Like get down the rabbit that black hole. You
Yeah.
actually come out of it. So I think it really did transform a lot for my brain, for my mind. Yes.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I experienced the same thing, right? Like I was just so self-critical and just so negative towards myself and a lot of different things. And once I got onto this lifestyle, I started bringing in those raw fruits and vegetables, that structured water, the
Mm.
electricity, all that great stuff. It just like something just flipped, and I was able to
Mm.
now see everything, see these false beliefs and these thinking patterns, and I was able to change it as well. So I think raw foods is where it's at. If you really want to optimize your perception of life and of yourself, and start changing some of those toxic thought patterns that all of us pretty much run into. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Let's see. Annie says, "What's up, Annie?" She says, "Yes, body image is a big thing." Um, Mallory May is here. What's up, Mallory? She says that it is snowing in Michigan. It's snowing here in Minnesota as well. So not the ideal fruitarian frugivore conditions, but we make it work. Let's see. Tessa, we got that one. Carl says, Chantel, any tips on successful meditation when you have trouble concentrating since I think 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Really good question. I had this conversation with a client yesterday. First of all, I think the concept of meditation, this clearing your mind of anything and going into the emptiness, we need to really let it go. We are not, Tibetan Buddhists who are sitting on a mountain and having a quiet lifestyle that is not, totally stimulated by everything and anything. We have a very Western lifestyle. Our thoughts are in a certain way. We are stimulated by our phones, by lights, by people. So definitely bringing yourself to a place where even if you start with 5 minutes every day, where you focus on your breath, meaning you will have thoughts coming in your mind, and it's like, oh, I need to do your grocery. I'm a grocery. I need to wash my dishes. Whatever it is, it will come in. Be graceful with yourself and be like, thank you. Bring yourself back to your breath. So counting your breath, I find it's the easiest way to start. So 4 breath in, holding 4 breath out, holding your breath, and start again, like that box breathing. Because also, if you are someone that likes to visualize, the box is really easy to visualize, right? You can just a square. So it's really helpful because your mind is focusing on something. So don't empty, but fill it with something. Focus on something that is mindful, and it will bring you into the present. So letting go of that pressure of emptiness, I think it really works, because I was like the worst meditator on the planet, I swear. At the beginning, I went to a class and they were like, empty your mind. I'm like, this guy doesn't know me. I cannot. I'm like, meditation is not for me. This was in 2007, and I gave it up for a while. And when I picked it up again after having learned all these tips, I'm like, I'm just gonna do it my way. Let me see if it works. And it does. And then what I also do is that I make that meditation time a prayer time. So I will connect to my angels and to God, and I will be, asking for that uplifting guidance, and also being grateful. And I just create a mantra. Like, say I am grateful for something that is happening in my life. I will create a mantra around it and just focus on it as I meditate. So my breath is in, and I really focus on that gratefulness. And I find that it really works for me. So find what allows you to bring yourself back, despite all the thoughts that come into your mind. But the breath is the easiest one to start with. And then you will find, if you're struggling to concentrate, obviously this is something that has got to do with a wider picture, which can be your digestive system and microbiome, can be hormonal. And so there are other aspects of your life that you have to look at, so that you can make sure that you're in the right place. And also, you talked about parasympathetic system, making sure that you're not in sympathetic, so that you're not stressed all the time. So there are adjustments you can make to make sure that you're supporting that really quiet state in your mind, right? So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And Carl says, I love this approach. Thank you so much. Obrigado. I looked that up. It says gratitude. It means gratitude.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you in Portuguese.
Yeah.
One of the very few words I know how to say. Woohoo!
Cool. Nice. I love it. Sweet. So, what are there, like, do you have a favorite place to meditate, or do you just kind of do it anywhere?
No, I can't do it. I haven't really mastered that do it anywhere thing, but also because I'm always in the same places at the moment anyway. But I love to do it in the morning in my living room, which is where I practice yoga. And if you are on my Instagram, you see a lot of the practices on my mat. So I love to put my big cushion there, and I just sit for 5 to 15 minutes, and I meditate. Then I practice yoga, and I just really love to do it there. Or in my office, I have created this urban retreat space. So I have the living room is in my retreat space. Actually, we bought a farm, and it's a retreat space in Portugal for the summer. And it's beautiful. Like, it's in the mountain, it's got nature around, so it's perfect for for retreats. And so I have the luxury of that. So I'm really, really lucky and grateful for that. But I also work in a city that is very balanced city. It's not like a hectic city like Lisbon. I'm in Braga, which is in the north of Portugal. And here I've created this urban retreat space. It's a really beautiful little space, very tiny. And here I can meditate. I can sit on my pillow again and put some music in the back. I love Meylan Moritz. She has beautiful angelic music, and her voice is stunning. And I put it in the background, and I do exactly what I shared as a practice. And even though I can hear sometimes the car outside, the cars outside or noise, I bring myself in the space where it just cancels it out, and I just focus on their gratitude or their mantra or their breath, and I can meditate there. But I guess I like my little cocoons, so I haven't tried to do it in the car, for example, in the middle of traffic. Also, I wouldn't advise you do it in the middle of traffic anyway. So I would say just, I haven't done it anywhere and everywhere just yet. But I think you can, like if you're on a plane, for example, and like kids are screaming in the back and you're just like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a headache. Bring yourself into your breath and then try that, right? Try to meditate in places that are maybe not meditation spaces, but that you can actually do it. And I think we can. It's just that I haven't really tried it.
Yeah, cool. That's great. Celine's here. What's up, Celine? Sherry said, I have a resource dictionary I'm working on for my website. I will add Chantel's site and coaching services. There you go.
Thank you, Sherry. Sherry's amazing.
She is amazing. I know. Sherry's the best. So another question I have for you is with yoga. Like how has yoga affected you? I know you're big into yoga. Like what are the benefits you've seen in your life from yoga?
I think one of the things that really, really helped me, that has helped me through yoga, is actually that body image thing, because I can be on the mat. First of all, I love when the studio doesn't have any mirrors, so you don't look anywhere but on your mat and inside of you. Introspection is so deep, and so having your drishti, that focus inwards, I find it's beautiful. But also, my yoga is has got different levels. So I can do a normal yoga practice, like a vinyasa flow, but then I also do like yoga workouts, and like they're not very long. Sometimes I do a longer class, but it has helped me to really appreciate what my body can get to. I'm not a Instagram yogi that I can do these amazing poses, and I'm just like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm on the mat, I'm flowing, I'm flexible enough. I'm 42 and I feel like I'm 20. It's working. But also I go back and think, when I started yoga again in 2007, I felt horrible in my body. And so I thought that I had to have the perfect skinny body to be on that mat. And it's not true, right? I wasn't healthy. So I wasn't portraying health in my body either. But as I started really being great, again, having grace and for myself and actually accepting my journey, yoga really helped me to stay connected. And I love that I call yoga like a moving meditation, because you focus on the breath, you're doing a pose, you flow through it. And I'm thinking about the elements that are embodying, like the water element through a fluid flow, the fire element when I'm like sweating it out and really going for it, the earthy grounding element when I'm just standing still or sitting, the air when I'm trying to be lighter and longer. So there are so many beautiful things you can incorporate. So I think it really brought me closer to what we are made of inside, what is around us, all the elements around us, and really appreciating how part of nature we are. So there is just no judgment on that mat. And that's the thing that has really impacted me the most with yoga.
Nice. Yeah. In the same way, I think that you find yoga is like a movie meditation. That's how I think of it, as like salad, making my salad, make my salad at night. It's like I spend like 10 or 15 minutes just like chopping the ingredients, putting in the bowl, making my dressing, so I think it's great to find activities like yoga, like making a salad, just whatever you're doing, things that you truly like can just get into the zone, right? And you're just like in your element, and you're just kind of blocking out all the outside noise and just kind of doing your thing. I think that's very healthy.
Yeah, I mean, preparing food for me, whether I'm cooking it or not, I love it, and it is meditation too. And I put music on. Like I last 2 weekends ago, I prepared a meal for some friends coming. They're not vegan, they're not raw, but I prepared a nice little like a mix of everything. I made a beautiful salad, and I cooked some things, and I was doing this, and I'm like, I feel like listening to music from the 90s. And I just put, I mean, the boys band, I'm sorry, it's really it's really embarrassing, but I will put things from the 90s. A boy band stuff came up, and I'm just making this food, and I'm zoning out, and it's really like meditation, because it's pleasant and makes you feel happy, and you're creating these beautiful things. So yes, definitely finding something that brings you pleasure and is constructive, and it also is healthy. Bonus.
Nice, nice. Yeah. That's something that when you say boy bands, are you talking about like American boy bands?
I mean,
Like
English,
NSYNC
Irish,
and okay,
American. Yeah,
okay.
but NSYNC came up. NSYNC came up. Boys to Men. Boys to Men. I
Okay,
love
yeah,
Boys to
Boys to
Men.
Men, yeah. I Up until like, a little while ago, I didn't realize that people in other countries listened to, like everybody knew like all the same music that I did when I was talking to people in other countries. I was like, wow, because I don't really hear much music from other countries that I'm aware of, anyways. So I just found that interesting that other countries listen to, the same music that we do in the U.S. So I don't know why I found that to be strange, but yeah. Oh no. Shoot. Chantel just froze on on, on OBS. I can still see, we're still connected on Zoom, so guys, this program. Let me see if I can do something here. Hmm. We almost made it through. We almost made it through the entire show without without a technical issue, and now it just wouldn't let it happen. All right, so I'm going to just restart this program. Hopefully we don't lose you guys. If we do, then I'm really sorry. But stick with us. We'll be right back, and we're about to wrap up here. So. Nope, still frozen. All right, be right back. Okay, we're back. Hopefully everybody's still
Yay.
here. Yeah, I think you got okay. Yep, still getting comments here. So, okay, wow. Well, that was the smoothest, fix I think I've had. So we're getting better. We're getting better. All right. So yeah, let's see. Are there any other questions? I guess one. Oops. I guess one question. While I'm. Oh yeah, we were talking about boy bands. But one question I had was, do you want to like what is like a typical day of eating like for you? Like, how do you kind of structure your diet?
Yeah, I mean, somebody has asked me to do a video, and I want to do it, but it's also going to be quite boring because I kind of like to eat the same things. But what I do is, well, first of all, I fast, so I only start eating around 10 in the morning, depending on the time the night before. I generally finish eating around 5, 6. But I start the morning with a big jar of hot water with lemon. And then I'll practice my yoga, I exercise, I clean up. I have dogs and I look after them, I feed them. And then I will have a green juice. So I do juice in bulk because I don't have the time to juice every day. So I have a Nama J2, which is amazing.
Cool.
And the juices really stay fresh for 5 days easily. So I juice them, I jar them really, really well to the top so there's no oxidation. And they are amazing. So I have my green juice, which is generally parsley, coriander, celery, zucchini, and cucumber, and lemon or lime. And I just have that every single morning. I feel like it flushes my body out. I love it. Then I will wait 15, 20 minutes and I will have a smoothie bowl. So frozen bananas, different red fruit. And then I just chuck in like a whole lot of superfoods. So I like to use amla, which regulates blood sugar with some cinnamon that does that too. Like wheatgrass powder. I like to use chlorella and spirulina. I put some milk thistle to support the liver, ashwagandha to support hormonal balance. It's an adaptogen. Another adaptogen I like to use is maca. So it depends what I have. Shaga and reishi for immunity, especially in the winter. It's challenging to have smoothies when it's cold. So I would have also like a hot drink, whether it's a rooibos tea. I love rooibos being South African. So I just love to have this red bush tea.
Nice.
I sometimes allow myself a latte. I'm not going to lie. With almond milk, I will have a chicory latte. So I put chicory, dandelion root in it, and some vanilla, and I just have like a nice latte. Occasionally I will have coffee just because I like the flavor. It doesn't impact me much, but I have to have it. If I have it, it can't be too late. Otherwise, forget about it. I'm not sleeping at night. So I am where even at like it really, it's amazing. The halftime of coffee is crazy. So I don't like to have it as a stimulant. But sometimes, like you go out with your friends and you just smell it and you're like, oh
yeah,
I just want to have that latte. I allow myself that grace, so I have it. But not often. And then I love tea. So during the winter, I have tea instead of drinking water, like herbal teas, to hydrate my body and keep myself nice and warm. And then I will have, then I have that late. So I'm ready to eat around 3 or 4 o'clock, and that would be a massive salad. It's like a huge serving bowl with everything in it, from like spinach to rocket to any herb that I can find, and then carrots, zucchini, cucumbers, peppers, honestly anything that I can find, avocado, mango. I like to add mango and avocados together. Like I don't even need a dressing when I put these two, and so it's great. And then I add
sorry, it just froze again. All right. Oops. Okay. Sorry. Let's. Yeah. I think I can do this really quick. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. It should. Okay. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back.
Fantastic. Okay. So I was saying, and then sometimes I actually like to add some cooked food. So I will have some tofu that I might add, or some chickpeas, or lentils, or sweet potatoes. So I do balance out with that. I don't eat grains because I've noticed that my body doesn't like them anymore. So I don't have rice, although I used to love rice. And I actually prefer having mostly raw food anyway. But yeah, I don't do grains. And then fruit. If I'm hungry, I would have fruit and then snack on different fruits through the day. Occasionally I might have like a soy yogurt with fruit in it. Yeah, so I just really eat always the same thing. And then if we go out, I will eat some, like normally we go out to places that have a lot of salads, so I will have a nice salad, or vegan sushi, which here they make actually nicely because it's they make it with fruit or different vegetables, so they're really creative, which is nice. Cool. And I just have these different things. I love mushrooms. I cannot eat raw mushrooms. I don't like them unless I marinate them and dehydrate them, in which case I love. Yeah. But otherwise I cook them and I'm okay with that. It's the only way I can eat them. And I love mushrooms, and they're also great because they are angiogenesis genetics. So they anti-angiogenesis, so they stop the blood vessels going into fat cells. They're great for your belly to keep it nice and lean. So, and they're great for immunity. They have beta glucans that are great for immunity, especially in winter. So I'm like, I want to have the mushrooms. Yeah. So this is kind of what I eat all the time. So smoothies, juices, salads. Sometimes I will have kelp noodles with raw soups. So a high-speed blender like a Vitamix really is helpful. And raw, I love to make raw cauliflower rice, and I like to put in like jackfruit, and then different veggies. I like to just get creative. Wow. So I just eat whatever I find myself that I love, and then occasionally I cook some greens as well. Like there's some bitter greens that I like to steam and cook and eat steamed because they taste better and I can chew them better and digest them better. So I will do that.
Cool. Wow. Well, we eat very, very similar. And I have found actually, so I'll have some like, do you have an Instant Pot? Or do you use a pressure?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. If it wasn't for the Instant Pot, I don't know that I would include cooked food in my diet because it just like I'm very lazy and the Instant Pot makes it so simple. So I can make like a vegetable soup or, lentil soup or something. And I'll throw kale in there. I didn't realize how good steamed kale or steamed greens were. So like putting those in my soups, so much. It's so great. So I always have that with
Yeah.
one of my salads. So if I'm gonna have it. So
Brilliant.
yeah, and I think what you said about sometimes you'll have coffee, or whatever if you're out with friends or whatever. I think each person needs to find their balance, right? I think so many people are um, just so strict with themselves, and that's why most people don't stick with their diet for a long term. So yeah, just everybody should find what works for them, like the balance that they need to make it sustainable. And there's nothing, nobody should feel guilty about doing that.
No.
It's good to have balance.
Yeah, and I do that also because I can become obsessive about the way that I eat, and so I don't
Yeah,
want to, because that's what can drive my eating disorders, right? So
sure.
I don't want to go back to that. And I'm like, okay, I'm having coffee today. That's fine. Tomorrow I won't have it. I won't have
Yeah,
it for 3 months. It's okay. Like, not nobody's gonna die. I might
yeah.
not sleep very well, but nobody's gonna die.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Carl says, I love this show. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, this has been a really great show. So thank you, Chantel, for all the great information you've shared. Sherry asks, what is Chantel's best piece of advice for overcoming eating disorders, since that seems to be common among certain lifestyles that exclude large food groups?
Yeah. Well, first of all, being really aware that there might be something that you have to pay attention to, because unawareness, sadly, means that you're never gonna overcome anything because you're not aware you have to do it. So awareness is very important. Being open to feedback, especially to create that awareness. So being not inflexible, but flexible with your mind, and that, which can be really challenging for people that are going through an eating disorder, because your mind can go to places where you don't see reality. So it's a much bigger conversation than that. But when we're not talking about anorexia here, we're talking about people that maybe become orthorexic.
Mm.
Is just being really open to that comment, to that suggestion, to that advice, to that voice that somebody that is close to you and cares about you can share with you. And then also, again, finding support. So I'm like, okay, I think maybe I am going a little bit extreme. What can I do to bring myself back? Can you help me? Being okay with asking for help.
Sorry to cut you off again, but it just froze again. Oh man, I don't know what's going on here. So, all right, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Okay,
Are you back?
I think we're back. Okay, we're back. So sorry to cut you
Brilliant.
off again.
No, no, that's okay. And so, yeah, asking for support, just asking for support and taking step by step, not being judgmental. Nothing will fix itself in a minute. You have to take time, and one step at a time. And one change every day will really help, especially with eating disorders of any kind, because trying to make big changes feels overwhelming for someone that, um, for someone that perhaps has gotten into eating disorders because there is a bigger issue. So trying to change everything at once is impossible. So little step by step, and really getting the right support.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I am not seeing any more questions. It is 12:16 here in Minnesota. So if there's no other questions, guys, if you want to get another quick one in, just throw it in there. But I'm about to give away, I got to select the person to win the 5-Star Digestion ebook. And then Chantel is going to give you a 15-minute meditation that she'll connect with you on. So I will wait another couple minutes or a couple seconds, and just say thank you, Chantel, for again everything that you've shared with us today. It's been a really great episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any like projects coming up or anything you want people to know about, or what's coming up for you? Anything?
I will love, well, right now that I just opened my practice in Prague, I'm really focusing on getting, new clients to work here and trying to create this beautiful space and community and being a little bit more present also in my life in Portugal, which I've been very disconnected from since I moved here. So I'm trying to create that. But on the other side, online too, because a lot of my audience is actually in the US and the UK. I am trying to think about next year's project, creating more courses and creating more material that people can access even for free, so resources that can help, and community even online to try and support each other. And I really, a lot of women's circles and space that we can come together. I love you guys. Male clients and friends are brilliant, but I feel it that deep down in my soul that I need to support the women at this point in my career, and so that's really my focus for 2024.
Love it. Do you have a newsletter or anything on your site?
I do, and you can subscribe by putting your details in on the first page of my website. Yeah, liveleanhealth.com.
All right. Well, yeah, I will. Well, it should already be linked in the description box down below on YouTube. So yeah, I put the links in there, and then
Thank you.
you also you have a retreat website. Is that correct?
I do. So we have a space here in Portugal, and it's Eco Dharma Village. And we have, so from the summer, we're going to have retreats. And in fact, actually, if any of you are practitioners and you want to host a retreat, the whole point of having Eco Dharma is also to support practitioners to come here, host their retreat, and we take care of everything. We take care of the food, we can take care of you and cleaning and organizing excursions, anything at all. All you have to do is come. And I also made it so that it's not financially risky, because as a yoga teacher myself, having done retreats since 2015, I know sometimes you want to go somewhere and they want you to put down an incredible amount of money. And sometimes you don't know who's going to come. And it's pressure that we don't need. So the way that I work is very much opposite of that. It's really about supporting the teachers so that even a new teacher can lead a retreat and not feel that financial stress. So yeah, get in touch with me. Happy to send you the deck with all the information. And yeah, we're here to support.
Very cool. Well, yeah, that is also going to be linked in the description box down below. So everybody go check that out and go to Chantel's website and sign up for her newsletter. And yeah, keep in touch with her and stay ready for all of her new projects coming up. Okay.
I actually do have something that I don't know if it would be interesting to Americans because it's a bit far, but I have a 3 days retreat or a weekend retreat in March coming up, and I'm hosting it at a beautiful palace in northern Portugal. So just in case anybody listening is traveling to Europe and wants to squeeze in a little weekend retreat with me, you're welcome to check it on my website as well. But yeah, I normally, I'm mindful that it's such a short time to fly from the US. It wouldn't really happen for just the weekend, but it's there.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. And I know there's a lot of people from other countries that are here, so definitely
Brilliant.
could be something that they're interested in.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's quick do I'm just gonna scroll through. I just kind of let my mouse pick the person, and hopefully it's somebody that doesn't already have my ebook. Yeah, just gonna go. And oh, well, landed on Celine. Celine already has my ebook, so oh, Tessa. Tessa's the winner. Tessa, this is like the third time that you've won, so you probably have all my books now. So I don't know if you have 5-Star Digestion, but you can now, you'll get my ebook, and then you'll also be getting the 15-minute meditation with Shantel. So congratulations to Tessa. Just send me the email. You know my email address, so just email me, and we'll get you connected with Shantel to get that all set up. So yeah, exciting. I'm very sorry. It froze. It just froze again. So, all right. Gosh. All right, guys. Last time. This is it. We're gonna. This is it, and then we're logging off. So 1 second. All right. I think we're back. We're back. Okay.
Cool. We're back for the goodbyes.
We're back. Yeah, we're back for the goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you and your work, and you're a beautiful host. So thanks.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're an amazing guest, and so hope to have you on again soon. And thank you again for offering that gift. That's very generous, and I'm sure Tessa's gonna she'll come back next week and have rave reviews to share with us. I don't know, when you're
Yeah,
gonna do it,
I
but
look forward. I look forward
perfect,
to speaking to her.
terrific. All right. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us. And next week, same time, same place, we'll have another show. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'll let you know in the next couple days. And yeah, thank you again. And we will see you next week. Always follow your raw intuition.